Hello, my beautiful treasures. It is a beautiful, glorious day, and I am coming at you with a little bit of something different. I know. Different? Who is she on this channel? But yes, I am coming at you with something a little different because I know I've mentioned it in the past, very briefly, I've just kind of skimmed over it, but because I don't like to draw attention to it because I haven't been putting a lot of effort into it. And what is it? What is the mysterious it that I'm referring to? It's the fact that I'm writing a book. Yeah. Pick your jaw up off the floor. I know. I am. I'm writing a book. And this is a book that is literally years and years in the making. And the crazy thing about it is that I have multiple work in peace. And I have never really published, finished, worked on them in a very long time. For a multitude of reasons. I mean, the basic ones are burnout, work, the whole shebang. But there's also this aspect that I stopped loving what I was writing. I stopped loving writing in general for a very long time. And it's just always been in the back of my head of like, am I ever going to go back to it? So with this whole resurgence of redoing or going through again the Manifestation Babe Academy, it's brought a lot of things to the surface for me of, my manifestations, my dreams, my goals, my visions, just all of that stuff. Okay. So with all of that being said, I'm working on my book again. One of my projects. This one in particular is called Project Nytefall, and I am actually very excited to be putting effort back into this. I have missed it so much, and I actually went through and was reading because the book is basically finished. That's the crazy part. The whole draft is finished. The very first rough, horrible draft. I've taken such a break away from it though at this point that there's going to be another draft and then another draft and then the final draft, I feel like. But the basis of this is that I've been reading through the book itself and I'm like, oh my God, even with all of its weird plot holes and flaws and things that need edited to filth and things that need just tidied up, whatever, the fact that the plot is all over the place, even with all that said, how much I just love the characters. And I think that is a testament to what I like to write is I like to write characters more than I like to write plot. I like to write certain tropes. I like to write certain archetypes. I like to mesh certain personalities together and create romances that you might not think should be there. That's my bread and butter. So going through this, and I'm not loving the plot as much, but I certainly am loving the fucking characters so much. That's what's made me fall back in love with this, and I can actually hear them in my head. They're talking to me, they're telling me their stories, and that's what every writer should strive for, and I'm very excited to have them back. So with all this being said, this is a little bit of a writing progress vlog. I don't know how long these vlogs will be. Obviously, if I did this until the end of writing, it wouldn't work. But I think maybe if I kind of couple it with a weekly reading vlog sort of deal, where I just tell you my progress for the week, that might be something that I could do, especially because of the word count and everything that I have. I'm basically starting from ground zero. The manuscript itself right now is about 150,000 words. It's a beefy boy. My goal is to cut it down because it's just it's the first draft. There's a lot of filler in it. There's a lot of things that don't need to be there. But like I said, I wrote this book probably right before the pandemic. So 5 years ago. So at this point, the draft itself needs to be redrafted because there's just so many things that need to change. I actually need to do plot structure and whatever. But because I'm coming back to it so much later, I don't want to I'm a pantser. Okay, I don't plot. I'm not a plotter, and I don't do outlines very well until I get to that draft of, okay, now there needs to be a plot line. So I'm back to square one again, but I'm okay with that, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm gonna take you on this little journey. I'm gonna write for a little bit tonight. I'm gonna write throughout the weekend. Maybe this will just be a starter little weekend vlog of what I've accomplished and what I've done. So I hope you're ready for this chaotic freaking ride. Okay, so it looks like at final count, I did get 4,000 words done today, which is very helpful. And it's even with writing on and off all day, I think the crazy thing about this project is just the starting of it again. And it makes it very difficult when I have like the whole like manuscript right here. It's very difficult to like start a first draft when you already have a first draft. Like, I know technically this would be called the second draft, but this draft is still going to be just as messy, I feel like, because I'm kind of sort of basically starting all over again. And I love that for me and I hate that for me all at the same time, because unfortunately, I'm the type of person that when I have an idea that I really love, I really, really love it. And so it's very hard for me to give it up, even if I know it doesn't fit very well in the story. And so that's going to be very like hard for me to circumnavigate, is some of the things that I just loved so much that like maybe worked for the story, for drama or whatever, that just really don't work in the grand scheme of things, because it just was to keep me excited to write it, even if it was the messiest, weirdest thing ever, which your first draft should be crazy. I'm just saying, like, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but your first draft literally should be something where like aliens just descend at any point. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it doesn't make sense, because that's just like your imagination at work. So, and then like your next drafts are for like getting rid of the aliens and making it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so I do have a goal, kind of a loose goal for tomorrow to maybe do another 4,000 words. But I'm trying to also not burn myself out with this, because I'm having to do actually so much extra work, which is like read this and then go in here and basically retype sections, or to honestly just come up with completely new sections because these sections don't work. And like, this is also a story where there are going to be multiple POVs. So, you know, like working on that. Yeah, I'm learning a lot. I'm doing a lot. But what has helped me with this as well is not only just years of practice with it, but also like I found Abby Emmons a few years ago. She's a wonderful, wonderful resource for writing. She is like fantastic, and I also love the books that she has published. Also, taking master classes, I've done a lot of that. Taking Skillshares, I've done a lot of that. Not sponsored, but just saying that like doing those courses and taking things like that. I also am a part of like the Novel Writing Academy, which is like also known as the Plottery, which is very helpful. It's run by a wonderful woman named Char. She is a fantastic writing coach, and she has an amazing course on how to write a book that I purchased a while back. And it has like this entire Notion template where you can basically write a novel in a year, that I'm going to start utilizing, because I want to follow along with the videos that are in it and then fill out the Notion template. So yeah, that's actually pretty helpful. So anyway, yeah, I've been yammering a lot about nothing. But basically, I am currently just trying to like get into the routine of writing again, because every writer I've ever talked to has a writing routine. Unfortunately for me, with full-time work and then just like, you know, this, as I always say, it's very much a battle to find a way to have a nice writing routine. So I'm trying to figure out what would work best for me that's not going to burn me out, that's not going to just be like really exhausting, you know, stuff like that. And then there's also the characters to consider. I'm realizing now that the characters that I wrote 5 years ago are certainly not the characters that they are right now. They are more fleshed out in my head. They are more alive and vibrant, and they make a lot more sense. And I'm so excited to write them. But I am realizing that I was like, what the hell was I doing 5 years ago? Holy shit. But also 5 years ago, I was a completely different person. So there's that. Also, I did make a mood board for this. I don't know if I showed you all this. Did I show you this is what we're working with right now. This is the mood board. And I am absolutely in love with it. So yeah, Project Nytefall is coming along. We are just chugging away, chipping away. I am very interested to see where I'll be at by the end of this week, because I have decided that I'm going to write for a week and then put a vlog out. So let's see what happens. Hello friends, it is Sunday and I have not accomplished much today. I know I'm supposed to be writing, that's like the whole point of this vlog, but I actually spent a lot of the day in bed because I just wanted to relax and I wanted to do some research, and I just wanted to like take it slow today. So today I just did I watched a lot of other writer vlogs because I actually have never done that before. So like I have no idea how other writers structure their vlogs, because I kind of had this epiphany of like, what do people actually talk about in a writing vlog, especially when you don't want to talk about your work and pee, you know what I'm saying? But I also listened to a few lectures today. I was watching someone who was talking about that Brandon Sanderson actually releases a lot of his lectures on YouTube completely for free. So I was like, okay, let me go watch them. And so I went and watched one of them, and I was like already like, oh damn, now I'm in my feels. I feel like that a lot of this journey is a lot of me trying to find my writer voice again, and it's a lot of me trying to find my confidence again. It has been so long since I have written anything, and I think a lot of that stems from imposter syndrome, crippling perfectionism. And also a lot of it just stems from this idea that what could I provide? Like, what am I going to give that no one else has given? There's so many writers out there. There's so many stories that are like mine. And a lot of it is that I felt that my story had to be some like crazy, fantastical freaking journey for people to be interested in it. And I'm realizing and we're just remembering that that's not always the case. You don't always have to write some like fantastical story for people to pick it up and read it, because everyone likes fantastical stories. Some people just like simple, down to earth, like homey stories, and that's all they are. Like, they're not anything more than what they are. And I think I just have to remind myself of that, like tape it to my forehead basically. But yeah, the purpose of today was basically just to sit in bed, relax, research, and just kind of think about how I want to start this book. I already am seeing myself kind of do this thing where I am restructuring the draft that I'm doing in my head and wanting to do it, which, like, the first rule of writing a draft is you don't edit the draft until you're done with the fucking draft, okay? And so you don't do that, and you don't edit while you're writing. You just write to write, and then if you go back after the writing session is done and want to kind of edit things, sure. But the whole purpose of a draft is to be a draft for a reason, just for you to get your thoughts out on paper, so you're not stalling yourself and sitting there thinking like, oh God, maybe I don't want this to be like this. That's for later. The thing that I'm realizing that I was doing and am trying to stop myself from doing is I'm already thinking about how this story is going to need to be restructured for it to be published. And it's nowhere near being published. And that's something that I'm trying to fight with myself. But the good thing about it is that obviously I can just take notes for later, like, hey, this may be like this, and just move on. But that is also something that I've been thinking about, is when do I even want to publish this? Like, how long do I want to make this story? And the answer is I really don't know. Like I said, I'm a pantser. This is definitely like the one where I'm calling it the 1.5 draft, right? This is definitely the part of the writing process where I have no idea when I want to be published. I have no idea how long it's going to be. I do know how I want it to end. I know how I want, like, kind of what's in the middle, and I know what's at the beginning, but the rest of it, between beginning to middle to end, I don't really know what needs to be in the book. And so that's where a lot of, like, I just want creativity to take over. I want the fun to take over, and I just want it to be a good time. So yeah, I don't really know. I kind of have this idea that if I could get this published before I turn 30 next year, that would be incredible. I turn 29 in a week. So I'm kind of like, okay, I need to really like buckle down and get this done. So I have a tentative word count goal of trying to write 10K a week. And that sounds freaking crazy. 10K a week sounds pretty crazy, but when you think about it in terms of that, typically people say that chapters are between 1K to 2K words. That's about 10 chapters a week. And if I think about this in terms of, okay, maybe I want the book to be 27 chapters. I really like using the 27 chapter method. It could be 27 chapters. And so I could write this book in about 2.5 weeks. Though I feel like that the book is maybe going to be longer than 27 chapters. Again, I'm not sure. So if I round it up to 30, that gives me about a month to write a book. That's a really short amount of time to write this draft. But I feel like that writing the draft is easier than going back and writing the final piece. Does that make sense? I'm optimistic, but I'm a little nervous because I've tried to start this project up so many different times. I've tried to create this so many different ways. I've started this up so many different times that I'm hoping that now is the time. But again, I'm also going to be participating in the Manifestation Babe Academy again This go around, it's going from September 1st and I believe until March again. I could be wrong about that. But it's going to be several weeks of me doing the Manifestation Babe Academy again. So that's also going to feed into the time I would be right. So yeah, I don't know. But I'm going to go now. I'm going to make some dinner. I'm going to keep listening to some of these lectures. And then I might pop on my laptop later and get some writing done. We'll see. So no writing has happened, but I did fill out my pre-write task list, as I call it, and I did get my Scrivener set up. The only issue is I'm using a free trial of Scrivener to and so I can decide if I really want to like purchase it. Right now I use the program Living Writer, and I just feel like for this project I really want to get immersed in it. So I decided that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna use Scrivener. I know I don't have a Mac, but I do have a Windows, and so it'll work. And I just want to be able to like customize it and whatever. There's a steep learning curve for Scrivener, so I'm going to kind of like teach myself it and look up videos and stuff. I did listen to some of like the plottery stuff. There is a course in the plottery that's like the writer unblocker, and it kind of helps you if you've got like writer's block, if you are feeling really nervous about your project, if you're just not sure. I listened to that and it was extremely helpful. Also, Abby Emmons has this wonderful, phenomenal writer motivation video that like makes me tear up every time to like get you really motivated to write, kick you in the ass sort of thing. I'll link it below. I highly recommend it for anyone who, with any project, not just writing. But yeah, I did do a couple of those things, kind of like what I call admin things. And the more I like started brain dumping and writing things out, the more I realized that I do want to take some time before I start I'm just going to call it the 1.5 draft, because I do want to go into it with my best foot forward. I want to set myself up for success for it. I know that sounds like I want it to be perfect, but what I'm really wanting to do is I want to go into it with kind of some new tools. I feel like I'm walking into this 1.5 draft with like some of the old tools that I've had, which is very minimal. And I want to walk into it with like some new ideas, new tools, new concepts, things like that, to kind of drive my writing style to evolve. And I think that that's fine. I think that like everyone should strive for that. So that's what I'm going for right now. But the main thing that I want to do is I want to start putting together that Notion template, write a book in a year, which I will show you guys, and how I'm setting it up. Like, I know I haven't really mentioned what the story is about yet, but I don't feel comfortable doing so yet because I don't have it set in stone. There's a lot of ideas knocking around in my head, and I want to have a solid, not even like a solid, I just want to have more of a baseline of like, is this going to be romantasy? Is this going to be paranormal romance? Which is this going to be like mystery? Is it going to be like historical fiction? You know what I'm saying? Like, and there's just so many things that like I'm trying to hammer down that I don't want to say anything until I'm like, okay, no, this is the direction I'm going to go. So yeah, it's going to be a little under wraps for just a little bit longer, but don't you worry. By the end of this vlog, you'll have kind of a basis of some of the things, some of the tropes. So I will see you guys in a little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm sitting outside. It's such a gorgeous day out here that I don't want to go inside. Whiskey's next to me. He's sleeping on his bed. Like, I don't want to go inside. I just kind of want to sit here and like maybe keep working on courses. I feel a hyperfixation coming on. You know what it is? The ADHD. It's, ooh, baby. Hello, Bumbles. It is Tuesday. I am just getting home from work, and it has been a day. I actually got a really incredible gift from a client that I love so very much. She's actually more of like a friend at this point. I've watched her dog, I've talked to her, like we've commiserated together, and she got me this really beautiful freaking cup. It looks like freaking Ariel. It's like my two favorite colors, teal and purple. I am in love. Love, love, love. So today has been pretty freaking amazing. I've been doing a lot of obviously work today, but I did kind of sit for a little bit on my lunch break and hammer out some of the finer detail, which is like the theme, the thematic argument, premise, kind of the idea of what I want this story to be. That's hard because I struggle with that anyway, trying to, you know, if someone asks me what my book is about, I'm like, I don't know. I did end up sending a voice note to my friend Samantha, and Samantha, if you're watching this, thank you so much for like responding back and like basically telling me to knock it the frack off, because that's what I needed. So now I'm realizing that, you know, September 1st is coming up. It's a week away. And I'm realizing that though, you know, NaNoWriMo is no longer a thing, I'm kind of going to do my own NaNoWriMo slash writing retreat. So basically I'm putting a little bit of a time crunch on myself that I want to start really starting to write this draft starting on the 1st, if not the 2nd. So this week is kind of like crunch time for me. The reason that I kind of want to do that is I am following the write a novel in a year Notion template that I got from the Plottery, and I feel like that just for me and my like brain, it would just be great to be like, all right, starting on the 1st instead of like the middle of the month, kind of like that fresh start energy, that new month energy, you know, when we're all sprinkling the cinnamon on our doorsteps and sweeping our stoops. You know, my fellow Wiccans will understand that reference. So that also means that with crunch time this week, I need to really set up my Scrivener. I really need to set up all of my Notion templates, my plans. I really want to start fresh on the 1st. Obviously, when you do NaNoWriMo, if none of you have ever done that before, NaNoWriMo was a nonprofit funded way to write a novel in a month, or at least write 50, I think it was 50 to 60,000 words in a month, so that you would have basically the bones of a story to then revise and get published. With that being said, I don't think that I'm going to have this book written in a month. I do think that it might take me a year to get this done, but that year is going to encompass, you know, revisions, editing, beta reading, and publishing, hopefully. There's going to be some weird time things with this, but the goal for me is to have a good amount written by the end of the first month, September. I will walk you through like my Scrivener project and how I'm setting it up and my Notion a little bit later on, because I have not done that yet. I know this reading vlog has been like a lot of me yapping, but I think subsequent vlogs are going to be a lot shorter and just a lot more like atmospheric and like taking you along on the journey. But this vlog in particular, getting set up and figuring out like the project, it's like, and how I'm going to go about it is like a lot. There's a lot going on up here right now. So anyway, I'm going to get changed because I've not got changed yet. What are you two doing? I'm going to get changed. I'm going to eat some dinner, and then I am going to sit and focus on working on my Notion template, my Scrivener, and I will show you guys that when I'm done. All right, hello, my beautiful bumbles, my treasures, my familia. Hello. I know I'm coming at you in a little bit of a different position today, aren't I? I know. Some of you will recognize this if you have ever been a part of a Mystic Nymph stream on Twitch. Yeah, those days are long past, but we are here back in kind of the setup, and I'm gonna be honest, opening up my Streamlabs to do this just so I could like show y'all my screen, to show you like my Notion and my Scrivener and everything that's happening, is wild behavior, wild work. Yeah, I know that I'm coming at you at a completely different day. I apologize for that a little bit, but I kind of had a little bit of a friend crisis that I had to, like, we were all hands on deck for to help her because she's really going through it right now with some of like her electric stuff. And so I just needed to pull up, and I was present with her. And so last night I did like no editing, I did no writing, I did no Notion planning, nothing. So here we are. The point of this is to walk y'all through my like current Scrivener setup and my current Notion template setup, because it's what I'm going to be using to basically draft this novel. And I've been doing a lot of work today to set it all up, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks. Now, a lot of the stuff is not completely filled out yet because obviously there's going to be like spoilers and stuff if I had done that, but it's pretty much set up for me to start actually importing everything and doing a lot of the admin work before the first. Let's go ahead and I'm going to show y'all my spread. Okay, so this is what we are looking at. We're looking at my Notion, which I did purchase from the Lottery. So this is a template because I was not putting all this together. I don't even know how to use Notion really. So there was a lot of stuff going on today and a lot of like Googling, because I did make some tiny tweaks to have this template be the way that I wanted it to be, because there were some things that shockingly were like missing from this template, and I don't know if that was intentional or what, but I have it all set up here. So basically this is like my home page. I've got my genre listed, which is like adult, romance, mystery, paranormal. Love that. I've got my word count goal, which currently is at 100,000 words. Typically with a debut fantasy supernatural type of novel, you want to be in the range of 100,000 to 120,000 words. It gives you a lot of room for world building and character creation and the plot creation basically. So I said kind of the lower end of 100,000, and that gives me a bit of a buffer, because if I do go over, I know that some of it needs to be edited down, and if I go under, I know that maybe I don't have enough in the book. So that's what I'm thinking for that. Currently, obviously I've written no words, there's no progress, and I'm in the outlining stage. Love that. Got a little like, this came with the template. This is my story's home. Make a mess, rewrite everything, and feel it all. I do plan to add many words of affirmation and lots of reminders in this template, so I'm really excited that this came with it. We do have some of the artwork that I've inputted here. So we've got kind of the promo mood board or mood cover photo that I'm using, if you will. It's not like the book's final cover photo, obviously. And then we do have the playlist here. So I've got that, and I've got my current to do, which is make a mood board, make a playlist, done, obviously. Set up my Scrivener, which I'm going to check off because I pretty much have this completed. There's just a few things that I need to add to it, but it's pretty much done. I have made some Canva graphics, but I have not made any character boards necessarily yet, so I will be doing that. I want to work through the pottery courses and the story vault that I got from Abby Emmons. That's going to be something that I do the complete week of September, so that is obviously not marked off yet. And then the novel in a year template. This is another Notion template that we'll go through very briefly. It's something that I need to set up, but it's a lot of just I need to work through it because it's pretty much set up for me. I want to cultivate a writing routine, which will come with kind of writing and also going through those courses, I'm pretty sure, because I'm not quite set on what my routine's really going to look like, if it's just going to look like a word count or if it's going to look like an actual I set X amount of time to write sort of deal. And then I've got some pre-research that I want to do before I dive in to the book. Okay, so over here I do have some of the project info, which is going to contain who the narrators are. I've already discussed with you guys that it is going to be a dual POV, so there will be like the narrators that are over here. The location that the book is taking place in, I do have I've been scouting locations, if you will, about where the book will take place. And then I've got the thematic core of what the book is really trying to speak out loud, what like I want to shout from the rooftops basically. This is something that I know will come with time, because at the moment I don't really have a theme for the book. I just know that I really passionately want to write it. I really want to tell these character stories. I just don't really know why, and I don't really know the underlying cause of it, and that's okay. Any writer who's starting either their debut or any novel, it is okay to not know your theme until you get to even until you get to the end of the first draft, because sometimes that theme will arise as you are writing the end, and you'll realize what it was all for and why these characters in the story mattered so much to you. So we do have a project blurb, which is in a small, specific Northwest town. Nothing is as it seems. Haunted by secrets, drawn to danger, and caught in a web of desire, two lives intertwined in a story of passion, mystery, and the shadows that lurk just out of sight. It was very simple, very just like, it came up to me like today, and it was something that I felt comfortable putting in here because it leaves a lot to be explored with that. The themes and the thematic arguments that came with the template, and this is wonderful because it asks questions that you just need to ponder throughout your story, which is the heart of the story is, write a gut level answer. What question is the story trying to ask? What's the emotional truth you want your reader to feel when they finish reading this? Things like that. So, and then what's really cool, which we'll get to this in a little bit, but it does have a little navigation to take you to a thematic core training or deep dive sort of thing in the knowledge library, which will kind of segue over here. So it does have a menu of home, project hub, reading tracker, knowledge library, self-care and habits, and inspiration vault. I love that it's got so many things in it, even though I'm only really going to use it for this project screen. But I just really, really love that. There is a note section here, which funnily enough, I decided that I don't really like this, and I'm probably going to take it out of the template because I made my own note section. This is cool in its concept, but it's not just fit for my needs, and I'll explain that when we get down to it in a second. I did pin or embed my Pinterest board for this story, so I can like look right through this beautiful mood board that I've created. If you're not following me on Pinterest, please do so. It's Magic Through Storytelling. I pin a lot of stuff for writers and for characters and for plots and whatever. So feel free to check that out. I did go ahead and put the mood board that I made in here as well. And there's some empty space here, which I was considering putting something else here, but there's already like places for me to paste quotes, and there might be more words of affirmation. So I'm thinking of doing that. Then we scroll on down here. This character center came with the template. I've not inputted any characters yet, but this is where I will go to import characters into it. So we've got like the primary character sheet. And basically it's like enter your character name, insert a quote that speaks to your character's soul, their story role, age, gender, orientation, zodiac, all kinds of stuff. And then like the internal conflict, the misbelief, the secrets, the lies, the core wound, all that stuff. So that is all here for me to basically explore. And then I've got other characters here as well for significant relationships and things like that. So I'm going to be building that out here very shortly when I start putting characters in. And then we've got the word count milestones, which is like where if I hit like 1K, 5K, 10K, 15K, 20K, stuff like that as I go on, and it tells me the date and everything like that. So that's helpful. And then as we continue on down, we've got an outline and plotting section, which this is something that I'm not sure I'm going to use right off the bat, but it does have set up for me to do like act 1, inciting incident, the debate, stuff like that, and on and on. Again, I'm not a plotter. I am a pantser. So at least I am in the first draft, and then I start plotting as I go on. But I am currently like taking the soft plotting program with the plottery. And so I'm exploring, kind of trying to figure stuff out and, putting hard, outlines down for myself. Then we have a chapter treatment section which this is something that's like, I'm really interested in. This is basically where you decide per chapter who the narrator is going to be, the chapter description, what's supposed to happen in it, the status of it, the words, and any notes, like if it's finished, if it's not finished, things like that. I really like this because it helps me kind of lay down chapters without feeling so restricted as to what needs to necessarily happen. Like if I decide like, okay, this chapter, I want like this to happen because it happened right after this event, so on and so forth, I have that option. So I might be using this. And then we have the world lore section, which I'm really excited about. So we've got set in reality or built from scratch, which I really love. This one is going to be set in reality because it is going to just be a paranormal. It's not like a fantasy. This all came with it. I have not inputted anything in here yet, but it does give me some ideas of like, primary location and time, their description, the key locations in the story, cultural context, which is going to play a lot into this book. And then I've got a research section here with references. And then I also see that I can embed another Pinterest board, which I might do. So that is going to be helpful for me. And then this area of the Notion template, I was actually a little shocked by. This is a writing room. And this is literally where I could decide to write my entire book in this Notion. And I was like, well, what the hell did I pay for Scrivener for? And then I realized that I was like, you know what? This actually would be a good way for me to draft the book instead of feeling so like restricted that I have to or obligated to basically write in my Scrivener. And like, it just feels so final writing in Scrivener to me. I don't know why, that's just my brain, but I actually really like this. I can just draft it in my Notion and then I can like copy and paste it over to my Scrivener when I'm done with that chapter or when I'm done with the draft itself. I don't know why this appeals to me so much, but I actually really, really want to do this, especially because as I make new pages of the template of the chapters, they will start like there'll be a default and I can have pictures with them, and it just sets a theme and a tone for the entire story that I really, really just, I don't know, this really appeals to me. I really want to do it. So that's what I'm going to do. And then this is where I took some creative liberty with this template because I needed more. The note section was good and all, but I really actually needed specific like separate tabs for my notes. So we've got brain dump down here. We've got world and lore. We've got characters and plot / series, you know, just for notes that might expand over the series. So this is something where when I click on this, it brings it up and I have like, there's dates here, and then I can start just typing notes whenever I think of something, you know, whether it be a brain dump, whether it be a world lore thing, just stuff like that. I just need that more than needing this little like neat idea thing right here. I don't know why this like just doesn't appeal to me, but it just does. So I took a creative liberty with that. Also, I made a section for scene drafts. So this is something where if I have like a scene in my head where like I get out of the shower and I'm like, oh my God, I just thought of the most amazing fight scene, or I just thought of the most steamy smut scene, I can come here and just write it. And then it's not tied to any one chapter because I might not know what chapter it wants to go in yet. So I might do that. And then eventually like I will merge it with a chapter, so I can like set the visibility here to like give it a name basically, and I can like title it whatever I want, and as I go through the draft I can decide which like scene goes where. That is what this is looking like. Now I will briefly show you just what like the knowledge library looks like in case you're interested. The knowledge library is something that's really cool. It talks about like the deep character guide, about like internal conflict, the misbelief, things like that. It talks about the thematic core from earlier, about how to, you know, do the theme of your story. It's a really cool way to kind of still be teaching you while you're writing. Also, this is the homepage. This is the homepage of it. So yeah, that is that. So let's move on over to the novel in a year Notion template. Now again, this is something that I got being a student, a subscriber, a patron, whatever you want to call it, of the Plottery, which again I will link Charlie's stuff and like her website and everything down below. But this template comes with the you can buy this template I think separately, or you can buy it as part of the Pro at Pros or the Novel Plotting Academy itself. So this template is to help you write your novel in a year, and it starts off with like you've got a course progress tracker which goes through the modules that she has created, the Writer Unblocker, the Pro at Pros, which are separate from the Academy itself. And then there are monthly highlights. So if we go over here to monthly plans, all of the months are laid out for me. So basically, there's some things over here of like asking you what kind of writer you are as you go through these. So if we click on month 1, I am going to be completing module 1 for the Plotting Academy. Like it goes through week 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And basically these are things that I need to be working on in the first month, which will be September. And by the end of September, I want to have all of these things done, and I want to have a certain word count. And it looks like I've already like completed. I created a mood board and I created a playlist. So that's awesome. I don't have to follow this so rigidly. There is actually a blank monthly schedule template where I can just fill in the monthly stuff myself if I really wanted to. So that kind of goes on and so forth. There also is a place for mood boards, which of course I've already implemented my mood boards in here. There is a chapter treatment room, which is kind of the same thing as in the other project one that I have as well. There's a writing sprint room, which I really am appreciative of. I do a lot of reading sprints on YouTube, and so having a specific space to do a writing sprint, it's got background noise, stuff like that. Love that. Personalized feedback. I haven't actually given this a look. I'm assuming this is something where like I can chat with Char one-on-one and I can get feedback from her about my story. And then this is my notebook as I'm doing the courses. So I've got the Novel Plotting Academy, the Pro at Pros, project notes, writing exercises, and the free writing space. The free writing space, I could also just completely write my book if I wanted to, which I really appreciate. But yeah, this is going to be something that I'm going to be using in tandem with my project Notion, so I'm very excited about that. And then that brings me to my Scrivener project. So let's talk about this Scrivener. And I'm gonna move myself over so that way you guys can see the setup. So this Scrivener project, the template is made by Abby Emmons. Again, I'm going to link all of her stuff down below as well. But Abby has really outdone herself with how this is laid out. And I might make some tweaks, but I haven't actually done a lot with this because of the fact when I realized that the Notion I can just write my story, I was like, okay, Scrivener, you're going to be for like the second draft, for like the revision stage, you know what I'm saying? But I still try to set it up the way I would like it. So right now I have a pre-write task list, which I have actually filled this out. I didn't realize that Scrivener doesn't sync with multiple devices. I have to manually sync it. So I had filled a lot of this out on my laptop, and I just need to transfer it over later, which is fine. But the pre-write task list is basically like what I need to do before I sit down to write, which is research, the outlining, sorting through, and other questions. And I think some of the stuff is like, you know, the big things that I really need to hammer out before I start writing, because if I don't, it'll be very difficult to correct later. Then we have the manuscript itself, which is broken up into 3 acts. I am not necessarily a big fan of the 3-act story structure. I don't know why. It's never really appealed to me, and it just feels way too restrictive. I still really love the 27 chapter method the most. So I'm probably going to edit this to be the 27 chapter method in here shortly, but I already did start like drafting chapter 1. So I am going to just kind of like merge that over basically. So that's how that is looking. Then we have the outlines here. So there is a brain dump section in this template. There also is the 3-act story structure as well. There is a long outline here where I can type, you know, my entire outline out, which I have done before. Typically my long outlines are like 30,000 words. It's crazy. There is a subplot section here to keep track of any subplots that I have. And then there are scene cards, which I have not filled out yet. Those are typically also like scene cards are basically my scene drafts that I had in my Notion. There are template sheets that Abby has provided as well as character sheets. So there's a main character, side character, and backstory scenes that I have saved here. I did start making the characters a little bit ago, but again, they're in my laptop and not on this version. And then I have settings. This is kind of the area for like the setting of the book, like where the book is going to take place, what areas and what like haunts and stuff like that they're going to have, like places that they go, stuff like that. There is also a research tab. So there's research notes here for me to take for anything that I'm researching and keep it all in one place. That's lovely. There's notes as well. So there's styles, themes of the story, again, random notes, the rating of the book, which is like the age, the drinking, alcohol use, the sexual content, violence, stuff like that. There's soundtracks here that I can put if I have a specific soundtrack in mind for the story, and then my blurb. And then there is just a project notes section, which I don't really know what the difference is between those two, unless it's like just, I didn't know where to put it, so I put it here, but yeah. And then there's the trash. So yeah, my Scrivener is pretty basic. Again, I have really decided that I think I'm going to write in Notion and transfer everything over here when the time to write the second draft comes. But also I have ADHD. I love to be immersed in my story. There is a good possibility that one day I'll be like, I just want to write in Scrivener. And so I'll start writing like chapter 16 in Scrivener, and chapters 1 through 15 are in Notion, because that's just how I am. But that's okay, because I really want this project to be fun. I don't want it to be restrictive. And if I want to write in one place or the other, that's fine. I think a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be compiling as far as like research and notes and everything will stay in my Notion, because my Notion can go with me anywhere. I can literally pull it up on my phone and be like, oh, I have this idea, and type it out, instead of waiting to get home to put it in my Scrivener. Even though I also do carry a notebook with me, it just is so much easier, especially also if I can just like voice note it into Notion as well. It's just going to be so much easier. So yeah, that's how things are looking. That is what the tea and the shade is. I'm very happy with it. I'm very excited, and I'm realizing that there is a lot of prep work to do, but I'm having so much fun with the prep work that I actually had to be honest with myself today of, girl, are you having way too much fun with the prep work and you are not going to want to draft this novel? And I'm like, maybe. That is sometimes an issue for me. It is a lot of the time. Anyway, so I'm hoping that that's not the case, but it is Wednesday today. I have the rest of this week to kind of get stuff done, get things implemented. I do have a to-do list a mile long to get prepared, which does include a lot of research, a lot of character development, and a lot of just exploring kind of what the plot is going to be, and then starting the draft, you know, and going from there. I'm going to let this draft take me where it needs to take me. I've realized, you know, that it just needs to be how it is. because it's been so long since I've I've written it, and it's been so long since I've thought about these characters that I'm gonna let them lead me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna leave all of like these templates and everything, like I said, down below so you guys can look at them. But that is the tea and the shade. I think I'm gonna end the video here actually. I don't want it to be super, super long because not a lot is going on. It's gonna be a very boring vlog. It's just a lot of me being indecisive and then setting up my project. So but yes, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this incredible journey that I'm finally starting again. I'm really happy and I'm really proud of myself, and I'm actually really excited to be writing again. It has been way too long. I think that a lot of it is in part to just like, I realized that everyone else is like living their dream, and I sat back and I thought, why can't I? Like, why can't I live my dream? Why do I keep waiting? Why do I keep like putting it off? And coupling this with doing the Manifestation Babe Academy in September as well has made me realize that, yeah, my dreams are not going to sit on hold anymore. I am almost 30 years old. I really want to be living the life that I want to live, and I want to be living it to the fullest because tomorrow is not guaranteed. So yes, again, thank you guys so much. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll be here all week, baby. I love you guys so much. Mwah. Bye.